In the what?
In the register form?
You could. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it would be up to your particular, in your project. You could certainly do that. Right? We could certainly do it. Yeah, whatever you want to. The minimum you would need. Ideally, you want to make it as easy as possible for somebody to register. And so, ideally, you would ask the minimum information for them to just join your community, right? Just lower the bar as much as possible. Even just providing them, just log in with Google and Facebook. Don't even register with us. Just you're already registered. Yes.
Why are you not saving the information to the user?
What do you mean saving?
We are keeping the fields editable, but you are not saving the information.
We'll do that next week, but this week it's only static, but not actually saving it. Saving it. What do you mean?
There should be a button called update on
Oh, update. Yeah, it could be a button part of this, or I think for the assignment we're asking you put a button at the top right, like a check mark or something like that. But you can certainly add a button as well. Sure. Yep. So let's add a top header and a footer so that they're stuck. Right. This is a very common navigational mechanism in phones, on mobiles, smaller screens. So instead of inventing that ourselves, Bootstrap already has some of that for us. Okay, so let's go and see what Bootstrap has for us that we can reuse. If you go to components, they have on the navigation, they will have several widgets that we can use for navigation purposes, right? To be able to navigate through several pieces of content, right? And we have tabs, right, that allows you to click and display different pieces of content as you navigate through that. You have pills, again, which is very similar to tabs, but they render slightly different. They don't have that kind of tab view. You have pills that can be either horizontal or vertical. You can justify them to take up the entire width of the page. There's quite a few things that you can use for navigation purposes, or tabs with drop downs. Again, so if you're thinking of a navigational model, it'll be best to first visit to see what Bootstrap has to offer. They have lots and lots of little snippets of code, which is entirely appropriate to grab these snippets from here. Yes? Okay. And then down further, they have several examples on creating an entire bar, right? An entire bar that this is what kind of we're looking for, right? A bar that perhaps can be stuck at the top or maybe at the bottom, right? That might have several links associated with it, maybe an embedded search input field, maybe a little drop down and buttons and whatnot. Right, and they give you snippets of code on how to achieve that, right? In they show you examples on creating brands and adding some images there, embedding form elements as part of the as part of the bar or button or just plain old text in there, and also this is what we're looking for, right? Once you have one of these nav bars, we have the capability of creating a bar that is stuck to the top or stuck to the bottom, right? By just adding these classes, navbar fixed top or navbar fixed bottom, right? Which allow you to create either headers or footers, right? That as you scroll, they don't move. Okay, all right. So let's grab some of this code. Right, so that we can reuse ourselves. Right, so let's grab some of this here. Let's see. Let's grab this entire piece of code. Maybe it's a little bit too much. Let's grab that and let's add it to our profile. Let's see. The profile would be right here. We'll add it before the container because the container is adding margins. Right, we don't want our navigation to have margins. Right. So let's add that, and let's revisit our profile page, right? If we go there, notice that indeed we have a header at the top, maybe a little bit too much, notice that if you make this a little bigger, it has a little bit too much content, right? It has a whole bunch of links that I don't care for. I have a search bar that I don't want, a button that I don't need. All right, so there's a little bit too much here that I don't care for. All right, so I can go back and start removing some of that content. Perhaps I can remove this on the left. Perhaps it's this input field, this button, and they're all listed here. You can remove it from here, right? And slowly remove and get the links that you want. Okay. So let's see. We don't want. Perhaps we don't want any of these. Okay, we don't want any of that. Okay, and maybe the last thing that we might care for is this down at the end. This entire drop down we don't want, and just that one link at the right hand side we want to keep that one. Okay. So let's make this smaller. Okay, and we can change the look and feel of what that does. Now make it a little bigger. Notice that the whole thing scrolls goes up and down, right? And that's not the behavior that we want. Instead, what we want to be able to do is use additional styling, including being able to stick the contents to the top so it doesn't move. So we can grab navbar fixed top and navbar fixed bottom to create footers, headers and footers. Right? So we can grab that and apply that class to the navbar itself. Right? So that when you refresh, right, notice that indeed now it's stuck. Right? Notice that even though I scroll, make this a little bigger. Even though I scroll, it doesn't fit. Notice that the top doesn't move. Right? But there's one problem. Notice that there was text under there, wasn't there? Right? There was a header H1, H2 saying profile. What we could do is instead of having that title, it could be maybe the title here in the navbar brand. Right? We can have here profile. Right? And that shows that I am in the profile in the header. Right? We still have that H2 there that we don't really need anymore. Right? But if you remove it, notice what happens. Right, is that our content just goes underneath the header, right? And the reason is that to achieve this this header so that it's stuck at the top, right? If you look at the styling behind this, if you look at the styling behind this, it uses where is it? Where are you? No, I can't find it. It uses position fixed, and now I can't find it. Maybe it's in there. No, it should be here. Position. Okay, I can't find it. Anyway, when you use a position, the position attribute, what it does is that it removes it from the normal flow of the content. Right? Normally, this would be pushing the rest of the content down. Okay, but because I told it to use a different position scheme, right? It's being removed from the calculation of the position of everything else. Okay, so there's nothing pushing that label in that input field, right? The label and input field are actually under there somewhere. Let's see, where are you? Okay, there it is, right? There's our label right there. Right? Notice that it's showing below that the header. Right? So one thing that we can do to fix this is to compensate, right, for the width, for the height of that header, right, so that we can push down the entire content. There's a couple ways of doing it. One way is to come to the body, right, and then apply some padding at the top, right, so that we compensate for the height of that header. Right, so let's do that. We can change the padding at the top. Right, maybe we can say 10 pixels. and that's not enough. So let's push a little further. So there it is, our first name, right? It's we'll do an even 60 pixels. Okay, it should be at least the height of this. I don't know if you can see the. Does this say how high this is? Okay, it's 50 pixels. It's 50 pixels high, right? So I'm adding an additional 10 pixels to show below. Okay, so this body, this transformation of the body element, we want to make that permanent. Right? So I'm going to copy that. Notice that if I refresh, it just lost, right? Because that was only temporary. We can go back to the style sheet that we were creating ourselves. This is our own style sheet, right? We're going to add that transformation. So this is saying grab the body elements, right, and apply the following transformation. Right? So that makes that transformation permanent, right? Anywhere where I use my style sheet, right, this is going to be applied all across all my pages. That make sense? Okay. The next thing we might like to be able to do is perhaps change a little bit the look and feel of that header at the top. Okay. Perhaps we don't want it to be grayish like that. Maybe you decided that you want it to be purple or yellow or blue or whatever, right? So we need to be able to override some of those stylings that Bootstrap gives us by default. So let's do that next.